It's late. 2 a.m. Your room is dark, but your phone is glowing. You're scrolling through her profile again. She's not in your life anymore. But somehow, she still owns your mind. Her name pops up somewhere, random, and instantly, your chest tightens. You meet new women, but none of them compare. Every face becomes a reminder of hers, and deep down you know the truth. She wasn't even the right one for you. So why does it feel impossible to let go? Here's why. You're not missing her. You're missing the fantasy. The version of her that only existed in your imagination. That's the trap. Your brain clings to the story you wrote in your head. The story where she was perfect, where it could have worked, where love was real, but that story wasn't reality. It was an illusion, and letting go of an illusion feels like ripping out a piece of yourself. You tell yourself you've moved on, but then a memory sneaks in, and suddenly, you're right back in the loop scrolling, replaying, longing. So let me ask you, what if I told you this pain isn't random? What if I told you your brain is addicted to her? The same way it gets addicted to a drug, and more importantly, what if I told you there's a way to finally break free? Stay with me until the end of this video, because once you see the truth, you'll never look at heartbreak the same way again. Here's the first truth you need to face. You are not grieving her. You're grieving the story you told yourself about her. Think about it. The woman who hurt you and the woman you can't stop thinking about, they're not the same person. One was real. The other was a fantasy. Your mind created her. Piece by piece, moment by moment, you took the best parts, her smile, her charm, the rare times she treated you well, and magnified them. You turned fragments into a whole character, a character you wanted so badly to believe in. And when she left, you didn't just lose a partner, you lost the dream of what she could have been, the dream of the future you imagined together. That's why it hurts so much. You're not mourning reality. You're mourning a movie you wrote in your head. And here's the cruel trick. That movie was never real. But your brain doesn't care. It clings to it because the fantasy felt good, safer, brighter, more hopeful than the truth. So now, every new person feels like a poor substitute, not because they're wrong for you, but because they can't live up to a story that never actually existed. This is the illusion. And illusions are powerful. We don't fall in love with people as they are. We fall in love with who we need them to be. We fall in love with potential. We fall in love with the what ifs. She wasn't your soulmate. She was your projection, a mirror reflecting your own unmet needs. That's why your heart fights so hard to hold on. Because letting her go doesn't just feel like losing a woman. It feels like losing a part of yourself. But here's the reality. She was never your missing piece. She was never the solution. She was just the screen you projected your desires onto. And the longer you hold on to the fantasy, the longer you stay chained to a ghost. Ask yourself this. How many times did you ignore the evidence, the arguments, the disrespect, the times she made you feel small, the nights you questioned your worth? You knew. You felt it. But you chose the illusion. You convinced yourself. That wasn't her real self. That was just a bad day. No, that was her real self. And the version you miss, that version never existed outside your imagination. And that's the hardest pill to swallow. The person you're crying over never actually existed. She was a dream, a beautiful, intoxicating dream, but a dream that blinded you from reality. So let's flip this. Instead of asking, why can't I let her go? Ask, what illusion am I still clinging to? Because the moment you see the difference between the woman and the fantasy, the spell starts to break. Your grief isn't about her. It's about losing the hope you placed in her. And that's a good thing, because hope belongs to you, not to her. Once you reclaim it, you stop chasing ghosts. You stop begging illusions to love you back. And you start facing the truth. The love you imagined is waiting to be built inside you. And in a minute, I'll show you why this illusion is so addictive, why your brain fights to protect it even when it's destroying you. Here's the part most men never see. You think you were in love, but you weren't. You were in dependency. Real love adds to your life. It strengthens you. It makes you more of yourself. Dependency does the opposite. It eats away at who you are. It turns you into a man who can't breathe without her. Think about it. Your mood shifted with her texts. A quick reply sent you sky high. A few hours of silence sent you crashing. Her approval became your oxygen. Her attention became your fuel. And without it, you felt empty. That wasn't love. That was addiction. And like every addiction, it had a cycle. She gives you attention. Your brain lights up with dopamine. She pulls away, you panic. She comes back. You feel relief. And your nervous system learns to crave it. That unpredictable push and pull creates a chemical cocktail in your brain. It feels intoxicating, magnetic, unforgettable. But it's not romance. It's withdrawal and relapse. It's the same pattern as any drug, and that's why letting go feels impossible. Because you're not just walking away from a woman. You're breaking free from an addiction. Think about how deep it went. You stopped hearing your own voice. You stopped trusting your own judgment. You made her the judge of your worth. If she approved, you felt alive. If she pulled away, you felt worthless. That's not love. That's dependency, disguised as love. And here's the cruel irony. The more you depended on her, the less she respected you. The weaker you became, the more power she held. That's why it felt like prison. The walls weren't physical, but they were real. You could see the damage, but leaving felt like emotional suicide. And here's the kicker. It wasn't just your mind. It was your body. Your nervous system was hooked. Every "I miss you" text gave you a high. Every cold silence triggered withdrawal. Your body literally craved her chaos. That's why you kept crawling back. Not because she was special, but because your biology had been hijacked. And here's the hardest truth. Until you face that dependency head on, every attempt to move on will feel like detox. You'll shake. You'll crave. You'll want to relapse. And that's normal. That's part of breaking free. But here's the good news. Once you see the trap clearly, you take back your power, because now every craving makes sense. Every wave of longing isn't proof. She's the one. It's proof your brain is addicted, and addictions can be broken. So stop telling yourself you're weak for still missing her. You're not weak. You're wired, and wiring can be rewired. But before you do, you need to see something even deeper. This wasn't the first time you felt this way. And unless you break the cycle, it won't be the last. Different faces, different names. Same dependency. Same crash. It's not bad luck. It's psychology. And in the next section, I'll show you why you keep attracting the same women, why your brain confuses chaos with love, and how to finally break the pattern before it destroys you again. Different faces, different names, but the same story. Why does this keep happening? Why do you keep falling for women who hurt you? Why do the patterns repeat like a broken record? At first, you call it bad luck. I just keep meeting the wrong women. But it's not luck. It's psychology. Your mind is drawn to what feels familiar. And if chaos was your earliest experience of love, Shao's feels like home. Think about it. Maybe you grew up in a house where love was inconsistent. Sometimes warm, sometimes cold, sometimes rewarding, sometimes punishing. Your nervous system learned that love equals unpredictability. That love equals anxiety. That love equals chasing. So now, as an adult, when you meet someone calm, steady, healthy, they feel boring. But when you meet someone toxic, someone who gives you highs and lows, your brain lights up. It feels exciting, magnetic, addictive. and you call it a spark. But here's the truth. That spark isn't chemistry. It's recognition. Your wounds are recognizing each other. That's why it feels so intense. It's not destiny. It's dysfunction. And deep down, a part of you hopes this time will be different. That maybe if you love hard enough, prove yourself enough, you'll finally win the approval you didn't get before. That's why you keep chasing the same type of woman, not because she's right for you, but because she fits the pattern. You're not choosing her. Your old wounds are choosing her. Every toxic partner isn't just a coincidence. She's your unconscious attempt to rewrite the past, to fix the wound, to finally prove your worth in places where it was once denied. But here's the painful truth. You can't rewrite the past by repeating it. You can't heal by reenacting the same script with new actors. The cycle will keep repeating until you choose to break it. That gnawing anxiety you feel when you think about her, that's not love. That's your psyche screaming for healing. The intensity of your attachment is directly tied to how disconnected you are from your true self. When you are disconnected, toxic chaos feels like home. But when you reconnect, toxic chaos feels foreign. So the question isn't, why do I keep attracting the wrong women? The real question is, what inside me still confuses chaos with love? Sit with that. Because until you face it, you'll keep replaying the same story. Different woman, same pain. But here's the good news. Once you see the pattern, you can break it. Once you stop mistaking chaos for passion, you free yourself to experience real love. Love that feels steady. Love that doesn't punish you. Love that doesn't demand you shrink to be accepted. And in the next part, I'll show you exactly how to take that first step, how to turn all this pain into power. You've seen the illusion. You've seen the trap. Now let's flip the script, because here's the truth. Your pain is not punishment. Your pain is information. Every tear, every restless night, every time you almost reached for your phone, it wasn't wasted. It was data, signals, clues about what inside you needs healing. Think about it. That wave of anger, it's pointing to a boundary you never set. That crushing sadness, it's showing you the parts of yourself you abandoned. That longing for her attention, it's highlighting the places where you stopped giving attention to yourself. Pain is not the enemy. Pain is the teacher, but most men run from it. They numb it. They distract themselves. They chase another woman just to fill the void. And what happens? The cycle repeats. Different face, same story. But you have another choice. You can use the pain. You can turn it into power. How? By listening to it instead of running from it. By sitting with it instead of numbing it. By asking, what is this pain trying to show me? Here's the reframe. Every quality you thought she gave you was actually a reflection of something inside you. The passion you projected onto her, that's your passion. The freedom you saw in her, that's your freedom. The confidence you admired, that's your confidence. Those qualities were never hers to give. They were yours to develop. She was just the mirror. The pain is the invitation to reclaim them, and once you do, the spell breaks. Because now, when you feel that old sting, you don't see it as weakness. You see it as training. Every craving is proof that you're rewiring. Every tear is proof that you're alive and capable of deep love. Every restless night is proof that you care enough to grow. That's not weakness. That's strength. And here's the best part. When you turn pain into power, you stop chasing closure from her. You stop waiting for her to validate your worth. You stop needing her to notice your growth, because the growth is for you, not for you. The heartbreak wasn't just an ending. It was a beginning, a doorway into a stronger version of yourself, a version who doesn't beg for attention, a version who doesn't confuse chaos with passion, a version who sets standards and enforces them. That's how pain becomes power. It reveals the man you were always meant to be. So stop asking, when will this pain end? Start asking, what is this pain building in me? Because the pain will fade, but the lessons you pull from it, the self-respect, the clarity, the strength, those will stay. And those lessons will shape every relationship you choose from this moment forward. And in the next part, I'll give you the tools, the practical reset steps to detox from her, to break the addiction, and to finally rebuild yourself from the ground up. Understanding the pain is one thing. Breaking free from it is another, and here's where most men fail. They think time will heal them. They wait. They hope. They tell themselves, one day, I just won't care anymore. But that's not how healing works. Healing takes action. It takes intentional choices that rewire your brain, reset your nervous system, and bring you back to yourself. So here's how you do it. Step 1. Cut the ties. Delete her number. Block her on social media. Stop visiting her profile. Don't keep little back doors open, because every time you peek, every time you scroll, every time you wonder, you feed the obsession, you feed the addiction. Think of it like detox. You can't quit the drug while sneaking doses on the side. Step 2. Remove the triggers. Stop revisiting the places where you know she'll be. Stop listening to the songs that pull you back into the fantasy. Stop replaying old photos and conversations. Your environment shapes your emotions. Change the environment, and you change the pattern. Step 3. Move your body. This isn't just about fitness. It's about power. Your body carries the weight of the heartbreak. Release it. Run. Lift. Train. Sweat. Push yourself until you remember what it feels like to carry your own strength instead of her mixed signals. Step 4. Journal with intent. Not to complain. Not to vent endlessly, but to hear your own voice again. Write down the truths you ignored. Write down the boundaries you broke. Write down the lessons this pain is teaching you, because clarity doesn't come from thinking. It comes from writing. Step 5. Reconnect with silence. Turn off the noise. Step away from constant distraction. Sit with yourself, because here's the reality. Half the reason she still owns your mind is because you haven't given yourself space to listen to it. Silence is where you separate your thoughts from her voice. Step 6. Reclaim your emotions. Feel your anger without needing her to validate it. Sit with your sadness without hoping she'll care. Practice joy that isn't dependent on her attention. The more you own your emotions, the less she controls them. Step 7. Set standards. Not just for women, for everyone. Respect, kindness, consistency. These aren't luxuries. They are the baseline. Anyone who can't meet them doesn't deserve space in your life. Period. Because healing isn't just about letting her go. It's about building a new foundation where you never allow that kind of treatment again. Every boundary you set is a brick. Every trigger you remove is another brick. Every habit you commit to is more reinforcement. Brick by brick, you're building a new identity. One where your worth isn't handed over. One where your peace isn't negotiable. One where you choose yourself every single day. Music rises. Strong beat kicks in. And when you live like this, something shifts. You stop chasing approval. You stop mistaking chaos for passion. You stop begging for scraps, because now you're full. Now you're grounded. Now you're free. And in the next part, we're going even deeper. We'll separate what real love actually is from the attachment that almost destroyed you. Now that you've taken the first steps to reset, there's one lesson you must lock in. It's the difference between love and attachment. Most men confuse the two, and that confusion is what keeps them stuck. So let's clear it up. Love is steady. Attachment clings. Love respects who you are. Attachment demands you become who it needs. Love grows. Attachment shrinks. Love feels safe. Attachment feels like anxiety disguised as passion. See the difference? Think back to your relationship. Was it really love? Or was it attachment dressed up as love? Ask yourself, did you feel free to be yourself? Or were you constantly performing for her approval? Did her presence bring calm? Or did it fill you with tension? wondering when she might pull away again. Hard questions, but necessary ones. Here's the truth. Attachment creates suffering because it refuses to accept reality. It wants the other person to be who you need them to be, not who they actually are. Love accepts reality. Even when it's painful, love doesn't punish you for being human. Love doesn't make you feel like you're too much or not enough. Love doesn't turn your self-worth into a negotiation. Attachment does all of that. Attachment is rooted in fear. Fear of loss. Fear of rejection. Fear of being alone. And when fear is in control, you'll tolerate things that destroy your peace. You'll excuse red flags. You'll twist yourself into knots. You'll sacrifice your standards just to keep the fantasy alive. That isn't love. That's survival mode. And here's why this distinction matters so much. If you mistake attachment for love, you'll keep chasing relationships that drain you. You'll confuse emotional chaos with passion. You'll stay hooked on people who can't or won't meet you where you deserve to be met. But once you see attachment for what it is, you step back. You stop playing the game. And you free yourself to experience real love, because here's the shift. Your emotions were never the problem. The problem was where you invested them. Your ability to love deeply is not weakness. It's strength. When directed toward the right person, it's power. Love isn't about needing someone to complete you. Love is about sharing your wholeness with someone who respects it. And the best part, when you finally understand the difference, you stop blaming yourself. You realize you weren't crazy for feeling so much. You just invested in the wrong place. So let me ask you this. Are you done mistaking chaos for passion? Are you ready to choose love that builds instead of attachment that drains? Because once you make that shift, everything changes. The women who once pulled you in with games, they lose their power. The patterns that used to trap you, they dissolve. And for the first time, you become free to create the kind of love that doesn't take away from you, but adds to you. And in the next part, we'll take this even further. We'll talk about the new you, the man you become once you finally let go of the weaker version of yourself. Letting her go was never the real mission. The real mission was letting go of the weaker version of you, the version that begged for scraps of attention, the version that ignored red flags just to keep the fantasy alive, the version that thought love meant sacrificing your standards, your peace, your identity. That version of you has to die, because if he stays, you'll repeat the same cycle again. Different woman, same pain. True freedom begins when you say goodbye to that man, when you release the belief that love must be earned through suffering, when you stop wearing the mask of the nice guy who bends, pleases, and performs, hoping to finally be chosen. It's when you stop seeing yourself as incomplete without someone else. Because you were never incomplete. You were simply disconnected. The new you is different. The new you doesn't chase validation. He knows his worth. He knows what he brings. The new you doesn't crave chaos. He chooses peace, even if that means standing alone. The new you doesn't confuse inconsistency with passion. He knows that real passion is steady, safe, and powerful. And here's the best part. When you live like this, the space that opens up is where real love can finally enter. Love that doesn't drain you but fuels you. Love that doesn't demand perfection, but celebrates your authenticity. Love that doesn't make you smaller, but inspires you to grow. But remember, this isn't about waiting for someone to show up. It's about becoming someone for yourself first. The man who values himself so deeply, he won't trade peace for drama. The man who would rather stand alone in strength than be trapped in a toxic bond. The man whose heart is powerful, but whose boundaries are even stronger. That man is already inside you. He's been waiting. And now, through the fire of heartbreak, you finally get to set him free. And in the last part, I'll show you how to bring it all together, how to carry this strength forward so you never repeat the same cycle again. So here's where it all comes together. Letting her go was never the real mission. The mission was finding your way back to yourself. Every sleepless night, every wave of longing, every time you almost reached for your phone, none of it was wasted. It was training. Training you to choose yourself again and again. She wasn't your destination. She was your detour, a painful stop that forced you to see the truth about your patterns, your standards, and your worth. And now, you get to walk a different path. A stronger path, a path where you no longer confuse chaos with love. So don't measure your healing by how quickly you forget her. Measure it by how deeply you remember who you are. Because you're not healing to get her back. You're healing to get you back. Now it's your turn. Drop one insight in the comments, the line that hit you hardest. And if you're ready to rise even further, hit subscribe. This journey doesn't end here. It starts here,